It's starting to smell like chalk around here. And you might be asking, well, Blake, why do you mean it's starting to smell like chalk? Because the chalky teams in college baseball continue to dominate in the portal. Jay Johnson and LSU being one of them. Boy, do we got a lot to talk about here tonight, as maybe not only in the portal is Jay Johnson starting to maybe get some really good news. We'll talk about Daniel Dickinson from Utah Valley committing, guy that could potentially play third, could play short, and also has experience at second base. We'll touch on him. The dude can absolutely rake. I love the swag that he plays with. My man can really play baseball. Jay Johnson has completely rebuilt his roster the way that he said that he would. I don't think that they're done, though. I think the Portal King is still on the prowl and on the attack. So we'll talk about Daniel Dickinson obviously committing to the Tigers here tonight. Maybe give a way too early starting nine, excuse me. Way too early starting nine. There are a lot of people that I'm going to be leaving off this list. Starts begging the question, though, is LSU, Texas A&M, and Tennessee, the three top teams in the country going into next year? We'll break all of that down here tonight. We'll go on a really quick Rufino's Rants, Mike Gundy. So conference media days are starting here, and Mike Gundy, who his best player, Ollie Gordon, got into an incident where he got arrested for a DWI. Apparently there was some tequila, some vodka. The containers were open. My man, got pulled over. Wasn't good for him. Let due process play out before you make any judgment. But what Mike Gundy came out today and said basically was one of the worst PR moves he could have made. How can you be a man? I'm a man. I'm 40. How can you be a 40-plus-year-old man and not know that 4 beers will probably put you over the limit? By the way, he wasn't found with beers. He was found with tequila. Nevertheless. Also, we'll continue on our position deep dives. Last week, we talked about linebacker in the holiday week. Short week last week, but we talk really glowingly about linebacker. I'm still very high on Harold Perkins. Let's see what he can do this season. But now we shift our focus to position groups along the offensive side. I wanted to get through the defense because I know that there will be a lot of negativity going with that, and I want to end all of these position groups as we break them down on a positive note. Can this unit that we've spoken of so much along the offensive line, what can they do? What can they do to be more dominant this upcoming season, and why I think they will be more dominant? And some of it not only has to do with personnel, but might have to do with a little bit of scheme. Now, you can't replace Jaden Daniels, but we're going to talk on that and what the offensive line can do here tonight. If we have time at the end, you know what Tuesdays usually bring. Hashtag Ask Blake. Thoughts, questions, concerns. You can throw them inside of the Rudy Crew chat, and we will try to get to as many of them as we can here tonight. Where is everybody listening from tonight? Like, where is everyone listening from? Are you in the 318? How are our 318 brethren doing? I know that Hurricane Beryl, however you say it, hit Arkansas and northern Louisiana pretty heavy. Let's check in from the 318. So if you're in the 318, 31 great, let us know, as we are thinking of all the people in Texas, Arkansas, and northern parts of Louisiana. Todd Davis says, what's up, Blake? What's going on? My man, Cole Adams says, what's up, y'all? Good to have you here tonight. Todd, who's in the 504, says, I just got back from Spain. Great player we got from the Hawks, Deontay Murray. I keep up with it a little bit. I'm just not, I don't keep up with basketball, NBA basketball, the way that I used to. I don't keep up with basketball the way that I used to. I don't know why it is. It's been that way. Brandon says he's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Man, it always amazes me where people are watching the show from. Always amazes me where people are watching the show from. Always. Josh Rogers says listening from Pinkerton, Ohio. Yeah, Josh is a Ohio State fan. Now, Josh, I'm going to tell you this. I picked your Ohio State Buckeyes to win the Big Ten this year. If they don't do it, I'm going to make you wear an LSU shirt. You've made me wear Ohio State shirts in the past. I'm going to make you wear an LSU shirt if they don't win it. Chance Babin says Jay Johnson is relentless 1,000%. 1,000%. Stephen Fry, our good friends over at Fry Construction, over in Eunice, Louisiana, site work and land development, oil and gas services, commercial construction, aggregate and soil hauling, waste containers, demolition. They do it all. Give them a call today at 337-457-5100. That's 337-457-5100, or go see them over at 161 West Maple Street in Eunice, Louisiana. But he says, what's good? Balak A, the 337 is in the building. Good to have you in here, sir. He says, if they don't win a national championship, I will wear an LSU shirt. All right. Y'all remember that, because, Josh, I promise you I am going to remember it. Cole is in the 210, Canyon Lake, Texas. Spectrum is out statewide in Texas. Who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought that Spectrum would be Rudy Poo during a hurricane? Can't help them. Can't save them. It's just the truth, man. Spectrum can be Rudy Poo. Rudy Poo, candy ass. They always have been and always will be. Summer brings a lot of recruiting, man. That's what that text was just about. Had to answer it. David Bogan says he's in Zachary, Louisiana. Cole says you getting used to that life. Oh, not to me. I was like, what life? What life? Greg says I have to say I love the term Rudy Poo. Scott gives the longitude and latitude of where his current location is. You know, we could be very unprofessional right now. Very, very unprofessional and type all of this in. I'm going to type all of this in. 30.21299 or no, 42 north 93.21 8910 west. He is in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Lake Charles, Louisiana. I hope that that's right. I hope I didn't miss any numbers. Stephen Fry says, there goes that Spectrum sponsorship. They were never going to sponsor. I wouldn't allow them to. They would have to pay me massive amounts of money to sponsor on this show. Massive, large amounts of money. They were Rudy Poo to me all the way through all of this. Roy says he's in McGee, Mississippi. Good to have you in here. Ryan says from the frog capital of the world in the 337. Louisiana got the frog capital of the world. Doesn't surprise me because a lot of you, when that full moon comes out, y'all be hopping all over the place. Just saying. Max says he's in Pineville, Louisiana. What's good, bro? Good to have you in here tonight as well. We're doing good. Jay Johnson's out there killing it in the portal. I think that Brian Kelly, with the hires he made along the defensive line, might have really revamped that unit. It's making me start feeling a lot better about the current situation. DJ Pickett getting crystal balled apparently to Oregon. Wonder whoever would have said that was going to be very tough. And we might go on a football recruiting rant here, or a recruiting thing here at the end of the show. Derek Meadows from Bishop Gorman, Nevada, Louisiana. Vegas, Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. Why'd I say Vegas, Louisiana? Silly me. Silly me. Go Tigers on YouTube says should have went to Planet Fitness. Who are you talking to, man? What do you mean should have gone to Planet Fitness? He also says, I think we are going to have to slow down the games on offense to keep our defense on the field. Or off the field. Yeah, maybe. Potentially. Seven Process, Mr. Blake, how do I get rid of advertisements in the middle of the live show? Talk about some Rudy Poo Shizite. The only way that I know about it, man, is to buy the whatever YouTube, the premium. It's what I have to do. But I don't know. Dale Broussard said, where did Jacoby Matthews end up? I don't think he ended up anywhere. Here's what I'll tell you on Jacoby Matthews. I think that it's been very difficult for him to I think it's been very, very difficult for him for some things academically. And I don't think that they've been shy in telling people publicly. We'll see, man. I hope the best for the kid. The kid's very talented. We'll see. I think he could go to somewhere in the FCS, have a really good year, go to the draft. Good on him. Wish the best for him. Rob Boudreaux says, yes, it's rain, Louisiana for the Frogs. I'm here too. Okay. How about that? Chance asked, when is the Bayou Splash? I'm pretty sure it's the 26th. I'm pretty confident in saying that the Bayou Splash, the big recruiting event in the summer, happens going to be on July 26th, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I feel pretty confident it's around the 26th. Is 26th a Friday? Can somebody look that up? But I think the 26th. I remember it being like a week after my birthday. A week after my birthday. So, yeah. This guy, Tristan, let me find his name. Tristan Lundy on Twitter covers baseball, portal and just recruiting in general. This kid's killing it, man. I don't know who he is. I mean, I don't mean this in the wrong way. I don't know him personally. But this kid, Tristan Lundy, dude, he's absolutely dominating in reporting this stuff. I have no ties to the young man. If y'all don't do it already, y'all need to go over and follow that guy, Tristan Lundy, on Twitter. All right, let's get rolling. We got lots to get to. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook. Share to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty, which let me stop right there, man. I keep telling you, you need to go over to our buddy Tyler's podcast at Making Moves 225 on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go over there today at Making Moves 225. I know that they're on Twitter. I know that they're on Facebook and on YouTube. Go give them a listen. Darren and Tyler are arguably two of the best businessmen in our entire state. You know, Darren has been known to be one of the top realtors in the state, if not just the entire Southeast. What they talk about, how they talk about it, their planning. If you're in sales, you know that you always need good tips on how to do things. Go listen to them at Making Moves without a G. Making with MAKIN Moves 225. And then just when you subscribe, give them a follow. Says, hey, man, Blake sent me on by over here. Also, they'll say you have a pretty great house. Or if you need to put yours on the market, they can do that as well. Let them know Blake sent you. And let's talk about our good friends over at J&J Exterminate. Tons to get to. Let's not waste any time. Let's do it now. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. Let me say this. You know, I remember 4 or 5 years ago when we were starting the show that, you know, July and June, I'm not saying that it used to not be like very hectic with recruiting and things like that, because it always has been. But man, I got to admit, with the portal the way that it is, I remember like at least 3 years ago having an entire summer not having to worry about news dropping on the stop of a dime, like at 10 o'clock this morning when Daniel Dickinson for LSU committed. I mean, if you were on the message board, you would have known, because we've brought him up at least 3 times in different locations about LSU baseball reporting. You can go over there. We're going to do this all week. You can get 3 months for $3. AYSSnetwork.com/forum. AYSSnetwork.com/forum. 3 months for $3. But I remember just how like non-chaotic it used to be. Now it's just like, man, every day, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. And you always got to write something on them. You always field a lot of questions from people, sponsors, whatever it may be. I don't hate it. Keeps me busy 24/7. But I'm just saying, this is how crazy the portal has made things. But none crazier than what Jay Johnson has been able to pull off. And what he pulled off today might be his biggest pull from the portal. Maybe not high school, but from the portal is the announcement that he got today. Now, we've been waiting, and I thought that Jay would have sent out the tiger emoji last week. He didn't. Nevertheless, it came today. Daniel Dickinson retweets it, then lets it be known to everybody that he is committed to LSU. So Daniel Dickinson's a guy who was with Team USA, has been at the Cape, and in his career at Utah Valley, the 6'1", 185-pound infielder hit .363, 172 hits in 2 years. Guys, 172 hits in 2 seasons. By the way, there were multiple seasons that he only played, or both seasons, where he only played 50 games. I think last year he played 52 in total. In his career with 27 home runs, 95 RBIs, and 42 stolen bases. But this past year is where Daniel Dickinson, the All-American, stood out. He had 90 hits, 14 of those being doubles, 2 of those being triples, with 18 long balls, 53 RBIs, and probably the biggest feat is that he had 32 stolen bases on the year. Now, during summer ball, I thought it was really an eye-popping stat. I think it was Jim Doyle who covers MLB baseball or minor league baseball prospects and covers college baseball, he put out a very interesting stat on Dickinson today that he's only struck out one time this entire summer. And guys, it's not like that he's going up against bad arms. It's not like he's going up against bad talent there. He's doing just the same thing that he did at Grand Valley State. And he's scattered around a lot of dudes that are in the SEC guys, quite honestly, that he's going to see while at LSU, and he's absolutely raking. Now, the question becomes, when Daniel Dickinson announced today that he had committed, I think the biggest question was, where's he going to play? I don't know. And let me tell you this. It's not that I don't have an opinion on the situation. Clearly, I do. I think second base is locked down. I think the kid who had 10 appearances at shortstop last year, he could play short. He could play third. But I'm going to run through later a very likely scenario that LSU baseball is looking at next season, and we'll go from there. But could the kid play third? Yes. If Michael Braswell goes in the draft, could he play short? I think also yes. I think there were some things that Jay had to do to sell the kid. He might be playing short. I have no idea what Michael Braswell is going to do, but man, you have so many really good options. Jay Johnson is going into the portal and nabbed 10 guys from there. Now, Cotter Benj, who was from DBU, I don't want to say broke any news, but we had to get it confirmed because Benj on Instagram had put that he had, at LSU baseball, symbolizing that he had committed, had to run that down. I think it was Sunday when all of that went down. But Jay is going into the portal for 10 different players. Let's read them off very quickly. We just talked about Daniel Dickinson, but Chris Stansfield from Auburn, Eddie Yeaman from Dayton, Connor Benj from DBU, Jacob Myers from Nichols, Zach Cohen from Wofford, Luis Hernandez, who could be a portal, could be a draft risk, from Indiana State, along with his former teammate Luke Hayden from Indiana State, who could be another risk. Chandler Dorsey, the right-handed closer from South Florida, Devin Sheeran from my new favorite school, Mount St. Mary, and Daniel Dickinson, who we mentioned first. So 10 players out of the portal. And, it's interesting because I think Daniel Dickinson can play. I think that a lot of people have a lot of issues or maybe think that they have issues. Like, what about his arm strength? I have no worries about his arm strength. I think the kid can play defensively. I don't know if the summer ball stats are consistent, but in 160 attempts, he had no errors. None. So that is a lot of action in summer ball, and a lot of that action being, I'm just going based off this website from Perfect Game. Guys, that's a lot. 160 you might not get in 2 years. I wonder if there's a typo there, but who knows? The kid can play. Now, Eddie Smith, who was the former hitting coach here, if you saw today, the Utah Valley head coach, actually, ironically, went to Washington. But I think the bigger picture here is everybody, with the Fisher kid just committing to Tennessee, the third baseman from Ole Miss, I think what Jay has done here is identified the guys that he wants to rebuild with. I look at Chris Stansfield. Could he go into the draft? Yes. But you got guys like Derek Curiel coming in. You have Jake Brown. You have Larson. You have some really good freshmen coming in. By the way, Josh Pearson probably going to be returning. So I still think that you have options in the outfield. But guys like Luis Hernandez, Eddie Yeaman, who it had been talked about that potentially could move and make a move over to third base. Bringing a guy like Jacob Myers who could instantly find himself in the rotation. He has the stuff if he can find the control. Chandler Dorsey being a guy at the end of your bullpen that could potentially come in and close the show. And Devin Sheeran, who might have the biggest upside than any guy that you have in the portal. Guys, I got to be honest. I know that there's a lot of people out there that look at the small school kids. That's fine. You can all do that when it comes to football. Football, basketball, go right on ahead. Make your assumptions about a kid. when he's playing lower levels of competition. Guys, you cannot do that in baseball. You just can't do it. And you know what? It's very interesting to me when Texas A&M, as an example, literally had 3 guys that started for them last year, 2 of which hit well over 300, actually both hit over 320 last season. Hayden Schott being the lead guy in all of that. Those guys were playing in the Ivy League last year. The Ivy League. I am just going to trust Jay Johnson on what he sees at guys that can come to the plate to hit. Now, everybody, and this is coming a little bit old, if I'm being honest, everybody wants to point to Mac Bingham, but I point the finger right back at you and say Michael Braswell. And everything that Jay Johnson has done with identifying dudes and developing dudes at the plate. You know, it's interesting because I think of Cade Beloso so often when everybody questions Jay Johnson. Guys, do you remember how bad Cade was at times in his LSU career? Quite honestly, do you remember at times how bad Gavin Dugas was? Brain Jobert hit over 300 in his last year at LSU, and literally the year before hit 250. Michael Braswell, who hit 245 at South Carolina, comes to LSU and hits over 315. I just am not going to worry about what Jay is doing in the portal. Fine, you don't believe it's a really good class? That's up to you. We're going to find out. But here's what I know. There's not a hitter besides Chris Stansfield that last season hit below 300. And by the way, Chris Stansfield hit 280 in the SEC. Now, could be a draft risk. We'll see. Eddie Yeaman has pop. Luis Hernandez has pop. Daniel Dickinson has pop. Now, do I think that they are still on the prowl for guys in the portal? 100%. Specifically left-handed pitching. But if it presented itself where Jay went after another bat, I could see it, but I don't know if they're not done. Now, here's the thing. The question, or the second question that I've fielded from a lot of you, if not pretty much all of you to some extent, has asked, well, Blake, where do these guys play? Here is my way too early starting 9. Like way too early. Jake Brown in left field, Chris Stansfield in center field. If Chris Stansfield goes in the draft, Derek Curiel, Ashton Larson in right, Eddie Yeaman at third. And if he's not at third, then you could have a situation where you might have to put Daniel Dickinson there if Michael Braswell returns. But Yeaman at third, Dickinson at short, Milam at second, Hernandez at first, and then Priester at short with pick whoever you want starting on the mound in game 1. Here's the interesting thing. There are a lot of dudes that I left off. I left off Josh Pearson. I left off Ethan Fry. I left off Kel Fountain, the big 6'5", 230-pound absolute monster who can play third base. Guys, Bear Jones is leaving, but you're having another kid who fits just like the same mold that Kel Fountain does, who could come in here and play. At shortstop, you have David Hogg, you have Kason Evans, who could also come in and play. Guys, I know there's a lot of question marks, and a lot of those question marks are because we have not necessarily seen all of these guys. Indiana State's not a slouch. It's not a slouch. I talked to an MLB scout today, and you know what the interesting thing was is he told me that Daniel Dickinson, to him, might be the best overall hitter in the entire portal. That's a Major League Baseball scout who was religiously watching this kid all summer. What conclusion do I make of it? I just think you got a lot of talent. A whole bunch of talent. What does Blaze Priester do? Who catches? Who's behind the plate? Does Eddie Yeaman go behind the plate? Does Priester DH? I don't know. Here's what I do know. You just added over 100 home runs from the portal or JUCO. That's what I know. And when you do stuff like that, man, that is what legitimately takes you to the next level. Now, on the mound, there's a lot of, in my opinion, there's a lot of talent that you're bringing in. A lot of SEC inexperience besides Griffin Herring, because I think Jacob Myers is a dude. I think Jacob Myers can be a dude. You got to work on his command because you don't have that many strikeouts that he did, the kid from Nichols, unless you can sling it. Devin Sheeran's, guys, we saw what he did to Mississippi State. The first pitch he threw was 98 miles an hour, and then he got a strikeout on a slider that was 92 and broke at least a foot, at minimum a foot. Let's see what else you can do, man. But when Jay Johnson said that he is going to build his rosters based off of 1 year to the next because of the portal and the draft, he meant it. And here's the thing I want to mention, man. The thing I want to mention is this. I have said for many years and many times that there's no head coach on this campus that is a relentless recruiter, a hard worker like Jay, and I fully believe that. I think that there's only one other person in college baseball that's harder working than Jay. He just won a national championship the year after Jay did. And I'm just going to give Jay the benefit of the doubt 9 times out of 10. I will. You know, last season could have been really bad. Could have been in the shitter. But they turned it around. I'm old enough to remember when Jay Johnson went 17-13 in year 1 in the conference with a lot less talent than he does now. Guys, I don't think that the Jay Johnson's first team that he had that year 1, they weren't more talented than last year's team. Just had to figure some shit out. I think Jay is bringing in guys that not only can play, I think he's bringing in fits that he thinks that can play. Now, with a lot of portal comes a lot of, I don't want to say heat, but it can. I think it's going to work, man. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if Jay's not expecting some high-profile kids from high school that won't be joining this team. We brought this up last week. If you were paying attention, I threw a hint. I don't know what happens with Catholic pitcher William Schmidt. I don't know. I think the young man is extremely talented and would not shock me in the slightest if that young man went into the draft. Now, if you don't know who William Schmidt is a kid, the right-handed pitcher from a national championship winning baseball program at Catholic. He goes into the MLB Combine, guys, and legitimately was throwing 98, 99 with filthy jump. The kid could literally Aaron Nola this thing and come in and be your day one dude. He could and has the potential to be that guy. The rumors swirling around Baton Rouge about William Schmidt is that they're not 1,000% confident that he is going to leave Baton Rouge next year. And if that happens and you have guys like William Schmidt, Shea Shores, Zach Cohen, God forbid Luke Hayden stays, Cade Anderson, Griffin Herring. Remember that shit y'all were talking about Nate Yeske? Because I'm going to tell you, Connor Benz, Jacob Mayers, Luke Hayden, Zach Cohen. If William Schmidt does come here, maybe people should have been calm and cool and collected when they were talking shit about Nate Yeske, which, by the way, and ironically, led the country in strikeouts. I was never on the train that Nate Yeske sucked. Sorry. I really don't. And never really was. Guys, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to be, you know what? I'm going to be cautious. I'm going to be very, 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 very cautious. Here's how I'll end this segment before we get to a couple questions here. I don't know if you don't have an Omaha team. I'm pretty high on this unit. I see personally the stuff that I have seen. I see what Jay sees. I see what Yeski sees. And I think they are so confident in their ability to develop, which I'm not 1,000% sold either, that Jay's not the best developer as a head coach on this campus. I'm not sold of that. That he's not, I should say. I'm not going to come out here on July the 9th and say Omaha or bust. But, man, I feel very confident. All right. Adam says Bear Jones is leaving with a couple crying face emoji or crying faces emojis. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know. And look, what if Bear Jones comes back? You know what I mean? Like, if he does come back, I think that that's a massive deal. God, I wish he would. I just don't know if I don't know if that's plausible. Maybe I'm wrong. Jordan Strahan says, and people were bashing Jay Johnson, shaking my head. Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were. Luke says, Blake, people will literally have their jaws on the ground whenever they see the athleticism of Chris Stansfield. Luke, I don't disagree with you on that, man. And look, I don't know. You know, he's got a 3rd round grade. Does he go? What kind of money does he get? I don't know his financial situation, his family situation. I know that plays a factor in every one of those. Guys, it plays a factor in Bear Jones's decision. I know that it does. Have been told point blank, I've been told that is something for Bear Jones. Guys, somebody gives you $1 million. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all something. You know, we come in here from college sports fans. Let me start this over. You know what's ironic to me? We come in here as sports fans, whether it be college football, college baseball, college basketball, whatever it is. And, you know, we come in here and talk about NIL and the portal and the money that's being thrown around and the portal for baseball, the money that's being thrown around in high school recruiting for not only football, but basketball. And you know what I mean? You know what we never really talk about? If a recruiter was sitting across from you and told you that they were going to give you close to $500,000 to $1 million, we're going to really see where your loyalties lie then. You know, we're an LSU-centric show, but if God forbid, if Ohio State came knocking on the door, knock, 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 and Ryan Day in his full dyed beard says, hey, we're going to give you $850,000 to come to the Ohio State, you're going to find out where your loyalties lie. You're going to find out where your loyalties lie. Nothing changes during the MLB draft. Nothing changes on the possibility of guys going into the NFL draft. I think it's so wild that, like today, you know, I was going to talk about this coming out of the break, and I still will. You know, we talk about the Arch Manning thing. Oh, we were all duped. Not if you follow AYS, because as soon as Arch Manning came out so many months ago and says, I'm opting out of the video game, I literally quote tweeted him or whoever. It's like, I don't believe you. The old Ron Burgundy gif. I don't believe you. Never did. But the thing about Arch Manning was today on 3, they're coming out saying NIL rumors. Sources tell on 3 that he got $60,000. So is it a rumor or is it fact? Sources say rumor. I'm confused by the situation here. You're going to find out where your loyalties lie when that money starts flowing. You know, listen, I don't talk about my dad on the show hardly ever. You know, my dad always said, and this goes so much for the portal, every time a kid commits and everybody talks about money, I always have his thought and everything he used to tell me when I was a kid. Son, and he would kind of pat me, little buddy, money talks and bullshit walks. People don't grasp that. Because unfortunately for some, you sit in your $50,000, $75,000 a year job, nothing wrong with that whatsoever, and we don't actually think about what it looks like to make that type of money. We don't. We legitimately don't. You know, I'll give an example for myself. I don't know if this is how y'all feel, but this is definitely how Blake J. Ruffino feels. Blake J. Ruffino feels that, like, when I started my career, like when I started out as a young adult, you know, full of piss and vinegar, I made $32,000 a year. $32,000 a year. Miserable. I'm not saying money changes things, but when I got older and money started changing, boy started feeling better about himself. Hell yeah, I'll make a decision based off some money. You should feel the same way. So whether it be, you know, a lot of people have mentioned DJ Pickett the last couple of weeks. Oh, he's bag searching. Okay. If Dan Lanning called the Ruffino household tonight and said, Blake, I know you think I'm crazy, but you have a 5-year-old son, Ben. We want to offer him $1 million to come play football at the University of Oregon. We're going to all have a very serious discussion about what time we leaving out in the morning to go fly to Oregon. We're going to have a very large discussion about where loyalties lie. I love LSU. I always will love LSU. I mean, guys, if we're just being real, based my entire life wrapped around it. That's how much I love it. My entire life based and wrapped all around it. He bag searching. You goddamn right he's bag searching. Shit. I'm sorry to everybody that's on the audio. Did y'all see this? Ian Robinson says, fun, unrelated. Fact, had to change my YouTube account to my husband's name 2 football seasons ago when I realized he was making passionate comments on your lives under my name. Pause. With that being said, I think I need to go to a break. When we come back, we have been on this journey of us talking about every position group at LSU for football. We come back tonight. We go on the offensive side of the football. We go to the offensive line. Going to be really fun. Need to pay some bills. Need to get to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We're back next. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends of the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
That's something that both Will Campbell and Emory Jones will hear early in day one of the NFL draft. Let me, this up next year. Let me get to this very quickly. I don't know if y'all saw the Mike Gundy thing. I pivoted. I'm not going to talk about this long. In case you missed it, Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy spoke today at Big 12 Media Days about really just his best player at Oklahoma State, and Ollie Gordon, the running back. And I'm not going to go through all of it. I was going to play you a clip. Whatever. Mike Gundy is a man. Mike Gundy is over 40. And how does he not know that more than 4 beers is going to register more than 0.08? Now, he wasn't excusing anything, but it's just such a horrible PR move by saying, how many thousands of times have I done that? I'm not suspending him for anything. We might make him run 50 times in a game. Ollie Gordon got a DWI or DUI this past weekend. I hate that happened. People make mistakes. Guys, everybody has taken a sip of alcohol and gotten behind the wheel. Literally, pretty much everybody has. Majority of people in this state I know have. Look, man, is it a bad mistake? Yes. Mike Gundy could have easily said, we are handling the matter internally, and left it at that. Now, I know that the players in his locker room, recruits will love, and families will love that Gundy is sticking up for Ollie Gordon. But is he sticking up for him because he's playing a FCS playoff team in South Dakota State at week 1? Like, come on, man. Come on. Let's be real about all of this for just a moment. So, yeah. All right. Let's get to it. Boy. Recruiting just never stops, man. Never stops. Oh, this fan base, man. This fan base is never dull. Never dull. It was just bad, very bad PR. By the way, you know what was very good PR today? Arch Manning. I told you that they were doing this. Today, if you didn't see it, so the NCAA football game comes out this upcoming Tuesday on my birthday, or actually Monday, I guess. They said Monday at 4 p.m. if you pre-ordered the deluxe version. Thank you, please. Nevertheless, and all that, by the way, if it is Monday, y'all might not see me here. All I am saying is it was such a smart move by Arch Manning to say, I'm not going to be in the video game, and then play hardball, play business, and then let Eli and Omaha Productions be the one that runs a commercial for EA Sports. The Mannings literally are a mafia family inside of football everywhere. They are the Corleones. They are the Corleone family. They run everything when it comes to football in general. They always, man, they're going to for a long time. Peyton's got kids. Eli's got kids. This shit's going to work. They're going to continue. Manning's going to be a part of football until the day that we die. The day that we die. Maybe not always in the high prestige, but they will always be there. God forbid Arch Manning goes on to be the number 1 overall pick and he plays for 2 decades. Guys, in 2 decades, I'll be 54. More than halfway to my grave. Great PR by the Manning family today. Don't say I didn't tell you so, because the truth of all of it is when he said he was opting out, I told you he wouldn't. Now, the kid said he wasn't taking NIL money, that he was giving it all to charity. I just don't know how much I believe that at the current moment. Oh, by the way, on that, On3 said today, did y'all see this? On3 came out with something about the Arch Manning rumor. Look, I'm not trying to get in any kind of beef at all. I'm really not. I was just so confused by the article today that On3 put out that said, NIL rumor, : sources tell On3 that Arch Manning is going to make $60,000 for the EA Sports video game. So is it a rumor or is it sourcing? And it's so funny, man, that like someone who starts their own business, the small business person, if I did something like that, y'all would obliterate me. If I came out and said rumor, : sources tell AYS. Dude, do you know what y'all would do? Y'all would flip y'all shit. Y'all 1,000% would flip your shit on me. Not saying it wouldn't be unwarranted or unjustified, but you would flip your outright shit. You know it, and I know it. Okay. Deluxe, it comes out on the 16th, says Jordan. Okay. Play both sides of that fence. So we continued. Oh, I need to start that over. So we continue down our path of going to each different position group at LSU and the impact that they will have, in my personal opinion, for not just right now, but for in the future, how the depth lines up. We've done all of the defense. We've done defensive tackle. We've done edge. We've done linebacker. We've done safety. We've done the boundary. We've done all of them. Now we come to the offensive side of the football. And tonight I want to start it off with the most positive that we can, that being the offensive line. You know, I've seen a lot of you in the comments on the show here or on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, that will say something to the effect that O-line is the only place where we're recruiting at a national championship level. I don't know if I necessarily completely agree with that. I think we got to see some of these positions play out. I will say that the offensive line, by far and without question, is your best unit on this team. Not only from the 5 starters that are coming back, or I say 5 starters, but 4 starters and DJ Chester, who did see a lot of time last year, that comes back. And I thought DJ Chester was arguably your best center a year ago. I don't know if not only that LSU's offensive line might not be one of the best in the SEC. Guys, not only do I think it's the best potential offensive line in the country, I'm not 1,000% sold that that entire unit is not the best unit in the country in general. Now, there are a lot of talented groups. You know, on my national show I talked about on Rufino and Joe's show, I think Miami's got a really good wide receiver room with Jacoby George and Xavier Restrepo. You look at Oregon too, that running back room for Ohio State, the defense in general for Georgia. There are a lot of really good position groups all across the country. But I don't know if any position group has 5 guys better than the 5 offensive linemen that you have. Now, do I think that the guard play needs to get a little bit better if I'm being very picky? Yeah, I do. Or I will. I thought, obviously, against Florida State last year, they struggled. That's okay. Because they came back against Alabama and, in my opinion, did really freaking good. They came back against Texas A&M and played really freaking good. And you know what's wild, man? Do you know how often under the Orgeron regime we talked about injuries? You know, Garrett Dellinger was actually one of those guys that fought through injuries under the Ed Orgeron era and even stayed here. Emory Jones missed the Mississippi State game some, or maybe the whole thing. Pretty sure it was him. Yeah, it was him. So many different scenarios could have played out for your offensive line last year due to injury. You really didn't have a lot. You were really good. Look, I could bore you with numbers, and I could bore you with what they did in the run game a season ago. I could bore you with, hey, man, they were a big reason that helped Jaden Daniels stay upright last season. You know, Jaden had a lot of clean pockets. You know, like Princely Human Yellen from Florida against Emory Jones did not do anything. Did nothing. And Princely Human Yellen might be one of the top SEC's pass rushers in the country. He's at Ole Miss now, was at Florida last year, got absolutely railroaded by Emory Jones. Will Campbell didn't give up a sack last season. Will Campbell literally has only given up 1 sack in his entire 2-year career. How many plays has that dude played already and only given up a sack? I will give you this because I want to make sure that, you know, I don't want to speak out of turn. Guys, your running back room, Josh Williams, Logan Diggs, Caleb Jackson, all of them ran for over 5 yards a carry last season. All of them had at least, well, Caleb Jackson had 4, at least 5 rushing touchdowns. Jaden obviously had 10, but Logan did 7, Josh Williams 5. You had a really solid core at running back who had some really big holes to work with. You know, I even remember when we talk about that Florida State game, Josh Williams being able to bust one to the outside and a really big gain when you finally started running the ball a little bit outside. So I look at this unit. I just don't know if they're not the best in the country. Now you have 2 bookends that are going to be first-round picks. Going to be first-round picks. And I just don't know if you've ever had a duo like this along the offensive line. And let me tell you, man, you better cherish it. Now, Brad Davis has recruited that position extremely well, obviously. Weston Davis, the 5-star from Texas, coming in. You got guys like Tyree Adams coming in or come in and now developed. That room, that unit is so freaking good, man, that it's starting to become one of the elite units in not only the SEC, but the country. Now, you're going to have to really lean on this unit. Really, really lean on this unit. You know, Joe Sloan calling plays, probably assisted by Brian Kelly, especially in the run game. Brad Davis, especially in the run game. Guys, they showed us a lot of different things in the spring, running a lot of more zone stuff, a lot of more wide zone principles, pulling Will Campbell, getting him featured out in the running game, getting to the second level, really, really playing some power football with that really good elite offensive line. Guys, they dominated all spring. Now, I don't know if it is mainly due to the fact that your D-line was not really good. I don't agree with anybody that has questions about the interior offensive line or any specific questions I know that you don't, would have it anything at tackle. I think if there is a question mark, it would be DJ Chester. Maybe the guards had, and Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier had some moments because they dominated this spring. The things that they're doing this summer, Will Campbell obviously and clearly being a leader this offseason, they're just running through things. I thought that the Texas A&M game was the most impressive game that they had. Now, they got stuffed a little bit early in the run game, but as the game went on, you ran the ball right at them. Guys, this was the best defensive line you faced all year last year outside of Florida State. So from one game to the last, I think you played two very comparable defensive lines. Statistically, they were like 3 and 4. I think A&M was the third best defensive line unit ranked last year, and then at 4 was Florida State. And you did what you needed to do. But you're going to have to lean on them. You're going to have your running backs really step up. You know, I was watching, side note, we'll talk about running backs next week. Side note, this offensive line paired with a guy like Caleb Jackson and Caden Durham makes me very excited. Very excited about what they could do. You know, we're talking about Garrett Nussmeier a lot. We're talking about these wide receivers and what they can do. I think we are missing so much about Caleb Jackson and Caden Durham. That's because, guys, you're going to run the football a lot. That is what you're going to try to get downhill and do. You're going to try to bully dudes. Guys, LSU next season, it will try to bully dudes, and then they'll throw the football around. I'm not saying that they won't. But, like, if there's a drive where Garrett Nussmeier throws 3 times and there's a 10-play drive and they run it 7 times and they're just dicking you down, no pause or lube, and they're dicking you down the field, that's what I think the philosophy of this team is going to be and can be. When you have a unit that's this good and you're winning in the trenches, because so many different things open up for you. So many different things. If there is a question mark, I just question the depth, maybe at guard, maybe. But I don't know if that happens. Like, I could see a scenario if you have an injury at guard or something happens. Guys, I don't know if Weston Davis can't get to 300 pounds by the end of the semester or end of the summer, excuse me, and that he can't play right tackle for you. I don't know if Tyree Adams can't play right tackle for you if you needed him to. That's just how deep you are. Hey, you have an injury, we're going to replace him with a 5-star. You know who does that, man. You know who did that in the trenches. The only 2 teams that have done that in the trenches ever has been Nick and Kirby. Ever. Ohio State does it sometimes defensively. You got to give them that. But that's what the elite unit that you're looking at right now. We'll see how all this progresses. We'll see how all this goes. But if you're talking about me, I think you're going to be I think you have the potential that if you want to slow things down, you can. And I will be real with you. I don't know if it's not the style you don't need to go to. I am not what's the word I'm looking for here? I am not afraid of Garrett Nussmeier needing to go into a game and throw it 40 times. I'm really not. Like, if he needs to win, and which could be a possibility if this defense isn't good again, I really could see a scenario where you can win any game by Garrett Nussmeier having 40 passing attempts. Like, and I do believe that. I just don't think you're going to be there, man. I think that you're going to get back to some extent. I don't know if you get back to a lot more like that you were in 22. And I will tell you, with the experience and development of some of these younger guys that came in in that first Brian Kelly class, Will Campbell, etc., that's when you start winning shit. That's when you can start exposing people. I just really am really high on this offensive line. And look, they got to stay healthy, man. They got to stay healthy. So, yeah. Harry Wilson. What's up, Harry? With a $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. He says, thanks for a great show. Well, thank you for being here, my man. Thank you for that super chat. I really appreciate it. David says, I don't understand how people can't see the difference between 10-2 recruiting and 1-11 and 12-0 recruiting. I agree with you that to an extent, I don't disagree with not every position group, David, is not recruiting at that level. I don't disagree with you on that. But because I don't think Kevin Peoples is fully done, because I don't think that Bo Davis is fully done, I'm not 1,000% sold that you're not doing that along the D line. Guys, if I came in here as an example, if I came in here right now and said any other position group, think of it receiver. Think about it if it was receiver. Hey, bro, we just got 3 dudes out of the top 100 along the at receiver. You know what you would say? We're wide receiver U. That's what you would say. We expect it. We're wide receiver U. Now do D-line. Zion Williams and like, for example, Carter's very high on Brandon Brown. Say Zion Williams, Jesse Harold, and Damian Shanklin. I know that they're edge, DM. I don't give a shit what you want to call them. If those guys they're glorified defensive ends. Fuck the position that you want to put them in. Rover, Lucky, whatever position you want to put them in. I don't give a Rudy Poo. They are on paper to me defensive ends. It's like, I will never forget this. Orgeron always used to come out, used to bug the dog shit out of me. Ed Orgeron always used to come out in press conferences and says, yeah, man, we were on them 3-man front. Kelvin Chesson doesn't bring his happy ass out in coverage. So as an offensive lineman, I'm always going to count the 4. Now, the odd number in the odd man front was because you wanted a dude, and who was big 72? Shit, why am I forgetting? God dog it. Who was number 72 on that 19 championship team? Why am I forgetting? I'm having a bad brain fart right now. Tyler Shelvin. Thank you. Tyler Shelvin. You wanted Tyler Shelvin in the middle because he was beasting it up. And guys, you can have that ability with Bo Davis and Kevin Peoples. I'm not going to say you're like the elite of the elite, but for the first 4 months of them recruiting, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Offensive line too. I think on both lines of scrimmage at the current moment, at this exact moment, I think on both lines of scrimmage, you're recruiting like a national champion. Especially a playoff team. And how about this? You are a consistent playoff team the way that you are recruiting along both lines of scrimmages. Said what I said, man. Said what I said. All right. Yeah, Tyler Shelvin. Chad says, Tyler Shelvin, no. Chad says, we are little bank you at the moment. I don't believe that that's true. I think that y'all are believing everybody that you want to believe. Our good buddy Paul over at J&J Exterminating says Dorsey. Yeah, I was wondering about the 19 team, but every time I say 72, Dorsey got to come to mind. Guys, y'all got to get over to J&J Exterminating. My good man Paul. I'm telling you, man. The guys are fantastic at what they do. Thank you, Paul, for being here, my man. So yeah. Yes, indeed. All right, man. We're out of here. We'll see y'all again tomorrow. Been a good show. Very good show. See y'all tomorrow, man. Peace.